What if being alone wasn't something to fear, but a hidden superpower? Most people see solitude as a problem, a sign of loneliness, or even failure. But what if everything you've been told about being alone is wrong? What if learning to be alone could actually make you stronger, happier, and more confident than ever? The truth is, you don't need anyone else to feel secure. And once you discover how to embrace solitude the right way, you'll never feel lonely again. Ready to unlock the secret to feeling truly fulfilled without depending on anyone? Most people don't actually fear being alone. They fear what being alone means. From an early age, we're conditioned to believe that our worth is tied to our relationships. Movies, books, and even our own families tell us that happiness comes from being surrounded by others. And while human connection is important, this mindset creates a dangerous trap: the belief that solitude equals emptiness. For many, being alone forces them to confront thoughts and emotions they've been avoiding. Without distractions, insecurities surface. That's why some people jump from relationship to relationship or constantly surround themselves with noise, because silence forces them to face themselves. But here's the truth: being alone doesn't create those feelings. It simply reveals what was already there. Learning to be secure without anyone starts with changing your perspective on solitude. It's not something to escape, it's something to master. When you're alone, you may find that your insecurities, doubts, and fears that usually get masked by external distractions come rushing to the surface. At first, it may feel uncomfortable or even overwhelming, but this is an essential part of self-discovery. It's only when you stop running from these feelings that you can truly learn to understand and work through them. The moment you stop fearing solitude, it transforms from something painful into something powerful. Being alone gives you space to reflect, grow, and truly understand yourself without external influence. It allows you to make decisions based on what you want rather than what others expect from you. People who embrace alone time develop a stronger sense of identity. They're more self-aware, more emotionally resilient, and less likely to settle for relationships that don't serve them. Solitude also fuels creativity. Many of history's greatest thinkers, artists, and leaders actively sought alone time because it gave them clarity. When you're alone, your brain isn't constantly processing external noise. You can actually hear yourself think. And then there's emotional independence. When you learn to regulate your own emotions, you no longer need external validation to feel good about yourself. This doesn't mean you don't value relationships. It just means your happiness isn't dependent on them. Take, for example, some of the world's most accomplished and independent figures. Writers like Virginia Woolf, artists like Vincent van Gogh, or even entrepreneurs like Steve Jobs. All of them sought solitude in order to harness their creativity and self-reflection. They understood the power of being alone, not as an act of isolation, but as a tool for growth. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with being alone is because they unknowingly depend on others to define their worth. Social media, relationships, friendships, these become mirrors through which people measure their value. If someone praises them, they feel good. If someone ignores them, they feel invisible. This cycle creates emotional dependency, where self-esteem rises and falls based on external approval. Breaking free from this requires a mindset shift, recognizing that your value doesn't come from how others see you. It comes from within. Start by becoming aware of how often you seek validation. Do you feel anxious when no one texts you back? Do you base your confidence on how much attention you receive? If so, it's time to take back control. Building self-worth starts with internal validation. Instead of waiting for someone else to compliment you, acknowledge your own achievements. Instead of needing others to reassure you, learn to reassure yourself. This isn't about isolation. It's about strengthening your emotional foundation so that you're stable, whether people are around or not. Once you begin to recognize your internal worth, you'll feel a sense of freedom that comes from knowing you don't need to seek approval from others to feel good about who you are. It's a liberating experience when you stop measuring yourself against the opinions of others. Now that you know why being alone is so powerful, how do you actually start enjoying it? The first step is to reframe your mindset. Instead of seeing alone time as something negative, start viewing it as an opportunity. Every time you spend time alone, remind yourself that you're building independence, self-awareness, and emotional strength. Creating a solo ritual is another way to make alone time feel fulfilling. Having a daily activity that you do alone, like reading, journaling, walking, or meditating, helps you associate solitude with something positive. The more you do it, the more natural it feels. Getting comfortable with silence is also crucial. Many people fear silence because it forces them to confront their thoughts. But this is actually a good thing. Try spending a few minutes each day in complete silence. No phone, no distractions. just you and your thoughts. Over time, this helps you feel at ease with your own company. Another powerful tool is learning something new. One of the best ways to enjoy alone time is to focus on personal growth. Whether it's learning a language, picking up an instrument, or developing a new skill, having a goal gives your alone time purpose. And finally, practice self-validation. Instead of relying on others to make you feel good, practice affirming yourself. When you achieve something, acknowledge it. When you feel proud, embrace that feeling without needing external validation. The more you integrate these habits into your life, the more secure you'll feel without needing anyone else to provide that security for you. Feeling secure without anyone isn't something that happens overnight. It's a process. At first, being alone might feel uncomfortable, even unnatural. But the more you practice, the stronger your sense of self becomes. Think of it like building a muscle. The more you train it, the more powerful it gets. One of the most effective ways to build self-security is through self-reflection. Take time each day to check in with yourself. Ask, how am I feeling? What do I need right now? Learning to listen to yourself strengthens your connection with yourself. Another important step is setting boundaries. Many people feel insecure because they allow others to overstep their boundaries, leaving them drained and emotionally dependent. When you start prioritizing your needs, you naturally build self-respect, which reinforces your inner security. Also, surround yourself with things that uplift you. Read books that inspire you, engage in activities that bring you joy, and create an environment that makes you feel at peace. When your surroundings reflect your values and priorities, being alone becomes enjoyable rather than something to escape from. The ultimate goal isn't just to tolerate being alone, it's to truly enjoy your own company. When you build a strong, unshakable connection with yourself, loneliness disappears. You no longer see solitude as emptiness, but as an opportunity to recharge, reflect, and grow. Alone time becomes a nourishing experience that allows you to tap into your inner wisdom and creativity, rather than something to avoid or fear. This kind of self-connection transforms every aspect of your life. It makes you more confident because you're no longer looking for others to define your worth. You begin to rely on your own strengths, talents, and judgment, making decisions that align with your true self. It improves your relationships because you no longer settle for connections that don't align with your values. When you are complete on your own, you're able to approach others from a healthier, more balanced perspective. You're able to love and support others without needing them to validate you. And most importantly, it gives you a deep sense of peace because no matter what happens, you know you are enough. In every situation, you'll carry the comfort of knowing that your happiness is in your hands, not dependent on anyone else. Learning to feel secure without anyone doesn't mean rejecting relationships. It means approaching them from a place of strength, joy, and fulfillment rather than need. And once you reach that point, you'll never fear being alone again, because you'll realize that solitude is not a void to be feared, but a space where your true power resides. True security doesn't come from being surrounded by people. It comes from within. When you learn to embrace solitude, validate yourself, and build a strong connection with who you are, you become unshakable. You no longer fear being alone because you know you are whole on your own. This journey isn't about isolation, it's about empowerment. And once you master it, you'll realize that you never actually needed anyone else to feel complete.